Let's talk about a fundamental problem that, honestly, almost everyone has run into: the hiring mismatch. It doesn't matter if you're a company trying to find great talent or a candidate looking for that perfect opportunity. The whole process just feels, well, broken. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly why that is, and then explore a much more logical and, frankly, more effective way forward. So let's dive in. Okay, let's kick things off with an idea that really cuts against the grain. We live in this world that is just obsessed with speed, and we're always told to hire fast. But what if that obsession, that need for speed, is actually part of the problem? What if the real danger isn't about moving too slowly at all? Because this right here, this is the crucial point. The real failure isn't about the speed of hiring, it's about the accuracy. Hiring the wrong person, or, maybe even the right person, but at the absolute wrong moment for the company, that's what really sinks things. It's all about precision, not just pace. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at what we call the hiring paradox. Then we'll dig into why the traditional process fails so often. After that, we'll introduce a new approach called the evaluation first philosophy. And finally, we'll see how that leads to way better outcomes for everyone. All right, section one, the hiring paradox. This really gets to the heart of this shared frustration that we see in the job market, where the simple act of matching the right person to the right role has somehow become incredibly complicated and difficult. And what's so important to see here is that this is a two-sided problem. I mean, nobody is winning. Employers are just drowning in resumes. They're terrified of the massive cost of a bad hire, and they're struggling to see the actual skills behind a piece of paper. And for candidates, oh, it's just as bad. It feels like you're sending your resume into a black hole, getting these cold, automated rejections, and you're left wondering if some hidden bias is holding you back. So what you end up with is a system that seems almost perfectly designed to create friction and frustration. It's wildly inefficient for the company, it's demoralizing for the candidate, and way too often it just results in a poor match that doesn't help anyone in the long run. And that brings us right to our second section. If the system is broken, we've got to understand why. So let's take a closer look at the core flaw in traditional hiring, this resume-first approach. So what do we mean by resume-first hiring? Well, it's the model we all know. It's the one that puts a document, your resume, right at the very beginning of the entire process. And it all operates on this one fundamental and often really flawed assumption that what you've done in the past is the best way to predict what you can do in the future. And when you put these two side by side, the contrast is, well, it's night and day. On the left, you've got the old way. It's a filter. It scans for keywords, assumes your past equals your potential, and it's so prone to bias. It screens out amazing candidates just because their resume doesn't tick the right boxes. But the evaluation first model on the right, that's about discovery. It focuses on what you can actually do, uses objective tasks to measure real skill, and it uncovers the true potential that resumes so often hide. To put it really simply, relying only on a resume, it's exactly like judging a book by its cover. You might get a vague idea of the topic, but you have no real sense of the substance, of the story, or the quality that's actually inside. You miss the most important part. Which of course brings us to the third section and to the solution. And this isn't some crazy new invention, it's just a logical, common sense shift in perspective. It's about moving from just filtering paper to actually finding potential. The guiding principle behind it all is simple, but it's so powerful. Focus on what a person can do, not just on what they've done. So instead of obsessing over a candidate's history, this approach shifts the focus to their present capability. What skills do they have right now? What problems can they solve for you today? It's a huge change in perspective. So how does this whole evaluation first process actually work? Well, at its core, this is the CX25WW philosophy, and it's a really straightforward three-step approach. First, you define the absolute critical skills for the job, not a giant wish list, but the real non-negotiables. Second, you evaluate every single applicant on those skills using a standardized objective task. And third, and this is the key, you only spend your valuable interview time with the candidates who have already proven they have the ability to do the work. And the beautiful thing here is that this creates a much more meritocratic system. It prioritizes what you can actually do over where you went to school or what big-name companies are on your resume. It's truly about ability over pedigree. Which brings us to our final and, let's be honest, most important section, the results. Because a logical process is great, but it has to deliver, right? So let's look at how this philosophy improves the three things every organization cares about: quality, time, and cost. The benefits just flow directly and logically from the process itself. You get a much higher quality of hire because you're only interviewing people who have already shown you they're capable. You slash the time to hire because you completely eliminate all those hours wasted screening resumes and talking to people who are never a good fit. And of course, this naturally lowers your overall costs by cutting out wasted effort and helping you avoid the massive expense of making a bad hire. And if you're a visual person, this chart really says it all. The impact is simple: time and cost go down while the quality of your hires goes up significantly. It's not magic, it's just the natural result of focusing on what actually matters, right from the very start. And this brings us right back to where we started. By focusing on proven ability first, you're not just finding a skilled person, you are finding the right person. You're ensuring that both the timing and the fit are genuine, which is ultimately what everyone is searching for. Because at the end of the day, the goal of hiring shouldn't be to just check a box and fill an empty seat. It should be a strategic decision to find that one person who truly fits the team and this specific moment in your company's journey. So, I'll leave you with this one question to think about. Whether you're the one hiring or the one applying for a job, take a hard look at the process you're using. Is it truly designed to discover potential, or is it just a really efficient system for filtering paper? The answer to that question could change everything.